Okay, so to end off this unit, because we've been talking about fundamental freedoms and human rights, you're going to create a 250-word speech based upon a case study on page 135 in your textbook. So everyone should have a copy of the textbook digitally. I've sent, either you've got a copy from Sari or I've sent you all the digital files. If you don't have it, please speak to me at the end of this lesson. But there is a specific case you're going to look on page 135 in the textbook. In your opinion, which should have a greater importance? Freedom of thought, belief, opinion, expression, or human rights? Okay. And it goes as follows. The breakdown will be as follows. I can explain the freedoms, rights that are in conflict on the article on page 135. That's a conversation. Again, that's from your outlines and rough drafts. I will talk to you about that issue. It can be marked based upon your responses. Then next, I know I must explain the position of the Canadian Islamic Congress in Maclean's magazine. Right, so you have to explain what each organization's position on in the article. I know that I must support my position using legal reasoning, which means you're going to base your reasoning based upon an examination of the fundamental freedom or the human rights that it says it's in violation of, and we'll talk more about it in the success criteria breakdown. I know that I must apply the section 1 of the charter to whichever freedom I consider to be more important. Apply Oakes test. This simply means that if you say if you're talking about fundamental freedoms, you have to ask the 3 second questions of the Oakes test. If in your analysis at any time you felt any of the questions on the Oakes test, the Oakes test fails. The Oakes test only passes if each question that you answer is yes. Okay. Normally for freedom of expression of or an organization of ideas and information, I know that my speech must use proper spelling and grammar, and that my speech is clear, easy understood, and I use appropriate legal terminology. And the last part is using the legal research process, which is gather research, organize your thoughts into a legal argument position, present a legal argument to complete the assignment for evaluation. This work must be done in front of my teacher when possible, as part of the observation. So as a speech, you're not going to get up and do it in class, but you will send me a video of it as your speech, and I will listen to it. It can be you in a video or you as an audio file. I don't care which one it is, but it has to be done as a speech. I'm going to switch the share to go over the success criteria. Okay. So the assignment is, again, repeated because you have to write a speech to respond to the case study on page 135. And again, I will look at it quickly after I do this, just to refresh, just to get you guys thinking about it and to set you up. And the goal is to choose which concept would be of greater points to our legal system in our world, which means you have to think about, and the goal is, which one do you think is more important? You're not saying the other one should be ignored or forgotten about. You're saying that you're ranking them and saying which one is more important and why. Okay, so step 1 is read the article. You're going to read the article on page 135. Define each of the positions, analyze the position of Barbara Hall and Rex Murphy. Those are the 2 individuals who are presenting each position. Barbara Hall is for the Canadian Islamic Congress. Rex Murphy is writing for the Maclean's magazine. Okay. Step 2 is define each concept. Understand the goals and ideas of each concept. What is the goal of freedom of expression? What is the goal of the Human Rights Commission? Right? And then you're going to choose a side. Choose which side you are on based on sound reasoning. Make an argument based on our shared history, the concept of democracy, the goals of the Charter, and Section 1, which are reasonable limits. And step 4 breaks down how you're going to write your actual speech. So first paragraph is the introduction. It's the general idea. What is needed to have a democracy? Then you're going to talk about what freedoms are and human rights are needed. And then specifically the statement, which of those is very important? Freedoms and human rights. Is it more important to have freedom of thought expression, or is it more important to establish a human rights code that can't be violated? Paragraph 2 is discuss the case study. You're going to discuss the article and the positions in the Maclean's magazine in the Canadian Islamic Congress. Paragraph number 3, you define your position. Discuss your position using sound reasoning. Apply the Oakes test, which is on page 100, to explain your position. And in paragraph 4, we state your thesis and apply it to the case studies. So remember, you want to avoid personal pronouns because while it is you're making a position, you are arguing, the speech is sort of an argument on the legal concepts, not what you believe or how you personally think, but you're arguing for a position based upon your sound legal reason and interpretation. Okay, are there any questions so far about this from anyone? Okay, I'm going to stop the share. I'm going to stop the recording.